Yeah. So Dr. Gadose is a highly accomplished academic and entrepreneur, currently serving as the head of the computer science department at Lancaster University, Ghana, with a strong educational background, including a PhD and a master's in engineering in computer science from Beijing University of Technology, China. He specializes in deep learning and computer vision. His expertise extends to AI policy assessment, entrepreneurship, and education outreach, with notable contributions such as co-founding startups like Orion Electronic and Innova Labs Limited. He's committed to empowering underprivileged youth through initiatives like the STEM R Tech Labs, while his research interests span AI application in various sectors, including education, healthcare, and agriculture. Dr. Gadose's work has earned him prestigious awards and recognition, highlighting his significant contributions to academia, entrepreneurship, and community development. So thank you, Dr. Paris, for joining us. We can start our session.
Thank you very much, Gloria. Um, all right, so uh, I have a presentation here that I'll just go through, um, and then try to keep this interactive. Um, so thank you very much for joining us. And today we want to um, discuss a topic that, these days when you talk about AI, we also talk about uh, uh, am I sharing my screen? Is anybody seeing my screen properly? Hello?
Yes, hello, we can see your screen.
Oh, okay, okay, all right, thank you. I see. So this is when people talk about AI. There's really they're looking at how AI can be applied in their areas of expertise, where they whether it's in business, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in it's science as well, engineering. One question that people ask every time is, so how can I use AI in my work? This is what I do. Maybe I'm an accountant. How can I use AI in my work? Right. And today we are looking at how AI can be used in um logistics and procurement. So this would be a brief one, a brief session. We'll look at some key points. Right. We're not looking at the technical details or maybe how to build algorithms for um, applications in logistics and procurement, but we are rather focusing on um, some of the considerations that can be made when you talk about AI and implementing AI in applications that are meant for maybe logistics and procurement. So, in terms of logistics, when you look at the entire value chain, um, you realize that it starts right from production or uh, or sourcing of raw materials for a product into production all the way to delivery, right? So we'll first be looking at an introduction into it. We're looking at applications that are in mostly supply chain management, optimization of transportation using AI, AI-powered inventory management systems, AI-driven predictive maintenance and logistics, and then challenges and future trends in AI for logistics. Right. So um, when we talk about the application of AI in in logistics and procurement, one of the things, well, I mean, the first question is how can this even enhance the work I do in my area? And when there are a few key points that you can highlight immediately, that question comes up. My first one is what optimizing route planning and scheduling. Right. Once you have a system, once you have maybe real time maps providing you enough information, you know exactly that in order to provide timely deliveries, then there are different ways that you can read what is going on via way of traffic, and then rerouting or suggesting other ways of moving around, right? So that you are able to deliver your services on time, whether it's goods or products or services, you're still able to deliver them on time, right? Um, Also, when it comes to uh, maintenance of your vehicle or equipment. There are certain equipment that you know that if when you use with time, eventually there are certain defects that arise from it, or they sort of wear out and will probably need replacement or maintenance. Sometimes the sort of work that you do and the delivery that you have to give to your customers are supposed to be timely, right? You can't have any time wasted because there's something that is malfunctioning. Now, before any defect happens, there are a few things that you would notice. Now, if you have an AI system that does that, then it will give you um, some forewarning ahead of time so that you know that, okay, this thing might need replacement soon or might need some form of maintenance, right? These days, even in Africa, there are certain places, there are certain areas where these things are being used. When you visit some solar farms, especially around the Eastern Africa, there are drones that are used for uh, that have computer vision applications that can be used in identifying defects on solar panels and reporting back for anybody to know that, okay, there's a problem here, and um that might need some form of attention before everything goes bad, right? You're looking at automating warehouse operations, right? These days, a lot of manpower has been taken out of most of the tasks, maybe heavy duty tasks that machines would rather do more simply in warehouses. So why don't you have um, smart systems that will be able to do that for you? Right. Now, also, of course, if you're into logistics and procurement, you also want to satisfy your customers. Right. So there are also a few points that come up. Right. That's one when you have personalized product recommendations and pricing. Right. These days in machine learning, there are what are known as recommender systems. Right. These systems actually look at customer behavior, customer interests, um, customer opinions, and then recommend products that these customers might like. So if you're into, maybe you have an online platform where people buy items from you, um, you you take notice of their activities while they're on your website. For instance, if I am a carpenter and maybe I like power tools, that will make my jobs easy. I get onto the website, maybe I start looking for a drill, a handheld drill, and then automatically maybe I will start also be looking for the screws that can be used with this handheld drill, or maybe if probably I'm there, the guess is that maybe it's too expensive. The next time I visit that website, there will be a recommendation for a cheaper one, or a recommendation for other tools that can actually help in uh, the work that I'm doing. Now, there's also real-time tracking and visibility. These days, when it comes to delivery of items, people want real-time tracking of the items. These items are tagged such that it's easy for you to have um, a real-time tracking of these items so that you will not end up losing some of these items eventually. Then also there's also um, an efficient ways of what delivering to your customer at the end. Then, of course, when it comes to sustainability, right? Um, Most of the time, when people are there are um, health risks or health hazards that also come along um, with the field, with areas of, I mean, procurement and logistics. And apart from health products, problems, you're also looking at how to manage the amount of energy that is required, whether it's in manufacturing or in delivery. And also, you also want to look at making the entire process transparent for people to actually really know that this is really what you're doing. This is how you're producing anything, and this is how you're going to deliver that. So, when it comes to applications of AI in supply chain management, you're looking at how and the applications actually are put in place for um, uh, um, with the introduction of AI into supply chain management, right? So when it comes to demand forecasting, these days it's actually isn't even possible to know that based on current conditions or current trends, it is possible that there will be a certain demand for a particular product. All right. So that when it comes to production, you do not waste too much capital in whether it's capital or it's human labor. You do not waste too much of that um, in production. You don't product more. You don't produce more than your customers might need, right? And also making sure that there's proper inventory management. The last time I was reading about this company in Zimbabwe, where um, the manager wanted to know that his items weren't being stolen or weren't being miscounted. So he had someone develop an AI system, that computer vision system that uses the cameras to make sure that there's no suspicious activity in his warehouse, right? And he realized that with time, in terms of returns or revenue that he made more, and there were more accurate reading of his products in the warehouse. Right. So it becomes easier for people to manage their inventory. Sometimes, when you look online, there are certain videos where people are using different systems to even count when people and when goods are being loaded or offloaded. Right. So that actually helps in enhancing or in optimizing what inventory management for the people, for companies. Right. We've also talked about real-time tracking and monitoring of shipments so that everything is transparent and visible, whether to the customer or to the manufacturer, or to the yes, to the customer or to the manufacturer. Right. And so now, once you have smart systems that do most of the work for you, especially when it comes to um, inventory management, um, um, all the entire processes that go on at during supply chain management, making um, uh, ma- predictions on what needs to be maintained and what needs to be replaced. Right. Then, when it comes to transportation, of course, that's one of the most important aspects. Um, you're looking at managing risks and mitigating risks, right? These days, there are smart systems that are being used in reading driver activities, right? So that these companies actually maintain a certain amount of safety among their drivers, and also protect their vehicles from damage, right? If um, uh, there's a company that has developed a vision system that is able to detect drowsiness and fatigue among drivers, for instance, and that um, so that if a driver is sleepy or tired, it's able to detect that and then alert the driver if the driver has to park and then rest a bit. Um, some actually even go as far as slowing down the vehicle for the safety of the driver. When it comes to pricing, They when the monitoring of what the price is on the market and being able to give a reasonable price form of pricing for the products that you are using, right? And we've also talked about route optimization and planning as well, right? So, um, in continuation of the uh, now on how AI optimizes transportation, we when it comes to route planning, checking traffic, making sure that what we have in traffic is, uh, especially when it comes to timely deliveries. How do we assess traffic, and how do we determine whether we are moving right? And first of all, moving in the right directions, and secondly, making sure that the best routes are taken to ensure that delivery is done on time. Right. Right. So when you look at areas in construction, mining, mainly construction, mining, agriculture, huge companies or large companies manage fleets of vehicles, and some of these vehicles are classified either high risk or low risk. And normally you see that they want to focus on the high risk vehicles and making sure that there are no issues with accidents, unnecessary uh, s- um, safety issues. And so they make sure that they um, have smart systems or AI enabled systems that help to monitor their fleet, right? Um, Monitoring of weather, monitoring of the speed of these vehicles, monitoring driver activity and all that, so that uh they ensure efficient ways of um, uh, managing their fleet. Also, um, when it comes to satisfying the customer as well, another thing that is done is to make sure that if a customer has been promised delivery at a certain time, they at least proper estimation is done for the customer so that um, all at least a maximum number of the expectations are met, right? Um, Giving also the different forms of transportation that exist, it's it's easy to understand maybe the best form of um, delivery that can be used. I mean, choice of vehicles and choice of every other thing that can be done. Um, Also in giving feedback, uh, some form of feedback analysis for how the service can be improved, right? So most of the time you'd realize that there are ratings and scores that customers are allowed to give. If they are giving the right form of rating, or if they're giving bad rating, or even opinions of people, they um, they're able to make suggestions to the service providers or the product manufacturers so that they improve upon the sort of service that they are providing them. So for the inventory management systems as well, specifically apart from real-time tracking and forecasting, um, there'll be if you have autonomous systems, they'll be able to give a proper data analysis of what is going on in any warehouse. Then also optimizing the form of inventory that you have, and um, making sure that the entire process of supply chain management, right from um, raw materials or inputs, right to delivery to the customer is ensured. All right. Another way that we can make sure that AI also supports um, efficient procurement and logistics is to make sure that some of the human errors that exist at least can be reduced or minimized so that um, at least customer satisfaction um, is, ens- is ensured. Now, the error reduction in order fulfillment, for instance, making sure that when it comes to orders, the right orders are processed for any customer, making sure also that we have um, um, a proper ways of knowing whether an item exists in inventory or not. Also making sure that maintenance is also done ahead of time and making sure that warehouse is managed properly as well. All right. Now we've always said that AI is data. I mean, it's if there's no form of data, no work can be done. Um, I mean, when it comes to AI applications, they feed on data, they train on data, and they make whether it's predictive analysis or classification or whatever task they're supposed to complete. That is also based on what data. So, um, once one certain insights are gotten from the data that is collected through the process of maybe supply chain management. It helps in making more informed decisions when it comes to the decision making, right? Then there is also um, a more optimized way of making forecasts, also having recommendations. When you're building recommender systems, it's all based on what data or historical data that have been collected of maybe customers in order to make what better recommendations and also knowing exactly what sort of forms of products to make allocations for given situations or current situations so that the demands by a customer can be what met easily. Mm. Okay, so in doing so, when you look at all the applications that have been mentioned, at the end of the day, what's the most important is that the customer is what satisfied, right? So things are done on time, accurate orders are made, and efficient management is done for the customer. Right. So sometimes too, you want to know whether uh, your business or more should go into growing your business. And that is almost always based on what all the activities that goes on in what sort of business you provide or what sort of services you are offering, right? And sometimes you would know whether to put in more money or you would know whether to produce more and by observation of market trends. Now, with the um, with the help of internet, large data, big data is collected every day online. And once you have any system that is able to make use of this data, it informs you better on whether you should continue, particularly when we producing a particular product, um, producing more or reducing it, or even switching to another product in the same industry that you are working with. So adjustments would probably need to be made. Will probably need to be made for uh, these products that you are offering or the service that you're offering. So, now when we talk about predictive maintenance and logistics, we're actually really talking about looking at some of the factors that contribute to maybe defects or wear of most of the equipment that you use, right? So making sure that understand or training your AI model to understand these defects and to understand these factors, and in order to read and understand them, and also provide predictive um, um, or predictions on when they might need replacement or when they might need maintenance, goes a long way to contribute to the efficient use of most of these equipment that are used. Right. So by doing so, you are identifying potential failures in advance. You're increasing overall operational efficiency, and you are optimizing your spare parts inventory to ensure a smooth running of your operations. Mm, okay. So um, we mentioned safety in summary, and but everything that goes into summary include what, making sure that uh, um, the usage of equipment is monitored, whether real time, post usage, before usage, um, making sure that all the issues that have to do with um, risks and safety are handled, and making sure that even all the equipment you have are following a certain or complying with a certain set of regulations that you have. And then at the end, apart from the employee being safe, your equipment too are also maintained properly. So with everything that we've mentioned in summary, we've also talked about the um, we also talked about the use of efficient use of everything that goes into your manufacture and supply, right? So once we are able to tell that, um, or once we're able to apply all these things in the application of uh, with and the application of AI, we would realize that in terms of resources that are being managed, in terms of equipment that are being used, um, a lot of it is done efficiently, and that goes a long way to contribute to the um, to less um, or efficient use of even the money that goes into running the company. So from fleet management to resources to um, equipment maintenance and timely delivery. So like I mentioned, we are enhancing cost effectiveness when you are able to accurately run most of these things. Your cost reduces, right? So the cost of fixing of field equipment, the cost of um, um, of resources that you'll be using, or your raw materials that you'll be using, um, even cost of damage to items and your human workers as well will be reduced. So at the end of it all, you realize that there's less money that is used in running your company, and that also helps in maximizing the revenue of your company. All right. So I mentioned earlier that of course, um, you're using a lot more data, so you end up, I mean, you end up having better informed decisions whenever you are using properly built AI modules or properly developed AI systems. Now, what are the few challenges and future trends that currently exist? Now, of course, everybody knows AI is data. We also know that it's garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you train your system with, whatever data you train your system with, is whatever your system acts on, right? And so, in terms of quality of the data that is taken for proper decision making, um, there's sometimes you when the right form of data pre-processing and collection does not take place, it becomes more difficult to have proper or the right forms of decisions that your AI system can take. Sometimes even recommendations that your AI system can make can be very difficult. So it's important that those things are checked. So in terms of data management and quality, um, if the right data is not used or the right amount of data is not used, you're likely to have uh, um, maybe the wrong uh, decisions that will be made by your AI system, right? And also, to date, we all know that there are also security issues and privacy issues with the use of data in building any AI system. So, this is a general um, challenge, and every day new regulations and new rules are being drawn even at the governance levels, so that um, some of these uh, data protection laws are not breached. Right. Then also when it comes to skill development and training, we are still in the process, and there are people that are gradually coming into um, growing their skills or developing their skills in the area so that they can uh, whether it's really developing systems or learning the use of existing systems. Um, we are although there's currently a lack of uh, skills or lack of people that actually have these skills, we are slowly getting there where a lot more people are, are jumping on the wagon for AI development. All right. So also another issue has to do with the ethical considerations and social impact, right? Normally, um, there are a lot of ethical issues that come with the use of AI. How the data is collected, how data is used, what sort of permissions have been granted for the use of these uh, of the data and these systems. There are issues of bias where data is skewed towards a particular um, grouping of data, such that at the end, it's very difficult for even the AI system to make the right forms of decisions. Right. Also, on the impact on the environment. Um, how are these systems impacting the environment? Are they good or bad for the environment and all that? Also, like I mentioned earlier, governments and other regulatory bodies are coming up with different forms of regulations for the use, first for the production and the use of AI driven systems. And so there are certain areas where certain things are allowed, certain areas where certain things are not allowed. And, and that is also another challenge that is currently being faced. So, um, some people do not feel that AI has developed to the point where there should be regulations. Some people also feel that the time is now for regulating most of these AI systems, having rules around them. So some of the future, I mean, what's the future of AI in the area of logistics and procurement? Like these days, there are a lot of people in academia that are doing very relevant research in the area. And then there are also certain companies that are also very much interested in integrating AI into their work or into their applications. So, uh, partnerships, a very important aspect of it. Partnerships between industries and academics that are looking to see how they can push AI applications into the system. Then, how are we providing open platforms, right? So that people come up with, or that makes it easier for people to um, um, better implement or provide ideas and opinions on building AI systems in the area. Then also, if more money is put into capacity development, where you are um, training more people to uh, build AI systems, train more people to learn how to use them, right? Because at this point, there are so many technologies that are coming up, and we may be left behind if we do not join in 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 learning more about it. All right, so that was a very short one, um, but at least a few of the topics that uh, are always up for discussion in the area, what I have just presented. So if I haven't actually seen, so if there are any questions, kindly please feel free to ask them before we close the session.
Please, if you have any questions, kindly just raise your hand and ask them so that daughter can attend to them. Or if you can't speak, you can just type it in a chat session and I'll read it out for him. All right. It seems we do not have any questions. Thank you guys so much for joining. I think, Doctor, we can call it a day. If you have any more comments, you can just go ahead and share them so we can close.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gloria. I uh, do not have any further uh, comments. Thank you everybody for joining us as well.